Welcome to the Wisconsin Sports Fans Podcast. This is episode 12. I am Kevin. I am joined by Chris. I am joined by B Money Brandon tonight. And we are in the future that we were owning just a couple years ago. Is this future owned? No, the Bucks are not owning the future right now. It's a little disappointing. 2-6 over this last 8 games where they were really against playoff type teams. Detroit isn't exactly in the race right now, but they're vying for it. It was disappointing to say the least, especially after the stretch where they played well. And I guess what I would be concerned with is, yes, they're beating the teams that they weren't beating earlier this year that they should have been beating, but in order to be a good team, in order to be considered a good team, you've got to beat the teams that you're playing against now that, you're going to be playing against in the playoffs. So it is a little disappointing, a little disheartening to see the team isn't what we hoped they would be. I can't say that Prunty is really doing a lot to further his career here. What do you think, Brandon? What's been going on the last couple weeks here?
Yeah, I liked kind of what you touched on at the end there, especially where you're saying that Prunty is not doing himself any favors, and he's really not. We had a little bit of surgence there once Prunty took over. Again, you have some soft schedule there, and then you have an All Star break. You get Jabari back, so they really tried to ramp up the energy and the positivity circling around that change. But since the All Star break, and even if you want to include the game against Denver before that, where they hit 38 3 pointers or whatever it was, the Bucks have kind of fallen back into that same old Bucks. And I hate to say it because I never wanted to have to revisit same old Bucks again, but it really is. We're giving up the 3 point line quite a bit. We're getting outscored quite a bit from that 3 point line, and defensively, we had a good stretch there where defensively we were closing out. Seemed like we had better matchups. We weren't running like chickens with our head cut off out there. So it looked very different. It felt different, and now it just seems like they've kind of settled back into that defense where they're trying to do some switches and they're just not able to close out on that 3 point line, and that's disheartening with a team like this where yes, you do have 20-point scorers. You have Jabari, you have Giannis, Middleton, and the Blood Show up top, but you don't have that one lockdown. I'm gonna, besides Giannis, and sometimes he can be a little bit inconsistent. He can fall in that mid range to low 20s. Now you don't have that other take over the game type scorer that you might need, or someone that can really provide that spark. So you can't really be outgunned like that from the 3 point line, and that's what you're seeing when we played Denver. Houston is a live by the three, die by the three team a lot, so they shot it well from behind the arc, and that's hurt, and that falls on Prunty. And you kind of wonder, is this what Jason Kidd was telling us before? Hey, slow down on these predictions at
They
Eastern
young,
Conference
they
Finals.
young.
Yeah, they're young. They're young. They got to learn to share the basketball, man. And until that happens, we're just going to struggle. Well, this is an NBA franchise, and we don't have forever to wait. So now that we've changed the coach, is this something where this is a chemistry thing? Do we not have the right point guard? Bledsoe to me seems a little bit like a shoot first point guard. You're not seeing him light up the box score for 12 to 15 dimes a night. So I wonder
Yeah.
if they would benefit from more of a, I don't know, Dennis Schroeder, something like that, where Dennis Schroeder, he's still going to get his shots, but he's still dishing out. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a chemistry thing. I don't know if there's just purely not enough guys. I know we have some issues with health. Sledovich, you got Delhi is out. Brogdon's a big piece. I kind of can't wait. I can wait on the other guys, but getting Brogdon in there, that he can really kind of slow the game down sometimes for the Bucks when we're running wild. So I would really like to see that again. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love for them to really figure it out here, and they're running out of time quick, and that's what's a little bit scary. They've already slid down to the eighth, so I don't know.
Yeah, Terry was actually on with Bill Michaels tonight on their basketball hour.
Right.
He said some pretty interesting things. Like he kind of echoed Kidd, saying that at times they don't share the ball. He says a lot of times they'll break down to isolation, and he said a lot of times, they don't let the game come to them where they're just trying to find the open guy.
Right.
And he even called out Giannis a little bit, saying sometimes he goes 1-on-5. He said, "Hey, sometimes he wins, sometimes he doesn't." But
Right.
he definitely, they need to take a little bit of advice from him. He's been on a winning team before, and I think he has a lot to share. Not just playing ball, but a lot to tell them about how to win in this league.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think there's some veteran leadership that you can draw from Jason Terry, and there's definitely some philosophy that you can take from him to say, okay, this is what has been the backbone to success in today's NBA, and he's seen it over a really nice sample size. So I think whatever it is, I really want to see him figure it out because I am sick of the one and done in the playoffs. I am sick of not having that experience of going on to a second round, building momentum, really having confidence through performance that you're going to go far. And right now, over the last, well, I don't know, since the big 3 years, we've never had that confidence. You can't really say that they're really going to get out of the first round because they haven't really shown us, especially over this season, that they can get up there. They're near 500 guys. It's getting close to, if not panic time.
Yeah, it's just disappointing to think about where we were a year ago and thinking we were going to take a step forward. And I think everybody's just grappling with what the problem is. Is it chemistry? I know I listened to the Big Show a little bit earlier today too, and they were grappling with it. Yeah, I think Gary was saying maybe they're just not that good. I don't know myself. If the guys just can't play together or what the deal is. We keep saying when Jabari comes back, then they're going to be good. But then Brogdon went down. Well, are they going to be good when Brogdon comes back? I don't know. They just don't seem to get it, how to close out a game and how to beat these better teams.
Do you think, in retrospect, the Bucks wish they would have done something different at the trade deadline? Now, I know, I mean, Tyler Zeller, he had some back soreness, back tightness, whatever it was. He was out against Houston. I mean, he's not a marquee name. He's not a real. You don't think Zeller? You don't think, okay, he's clogging up the lane. No
He's a
one's
guy.
scoring on him.
He's just a
Yeah,
guy.
he's just there. Do you think, in retrospect, they think they might have made a mistake on passing up on someone that might have given them more, or do you think they're good?
Um, no, I still think they needed somebody in the middle that is a presence in there. And I mean, we were all screaming it even at the time of the trade deadline. So I think everybody knew what we wanted in there, but maybe the Bucks just couldn't put something together that would get somebody there. I don't know, but it
Right,
it seemed like it was known that we needed somebody in the middle that had a presence in the middle.
right. Well, they do have a softer part of the schedule coming up. Not a lot of games left, but I mean, we got the Knicks without Porzingis, Memphis, they're down players. They've been kind of in full disarray since Fizdale left. You got Orlando, Atlanta, then you come up to Cleveland, LA, and Chicago. But I mean, there's winnable games here. The Bucks, and the thing is you're close in a lot of these games too. We played Houston pretty close throughout the game. Indiana, you lost by 3. 76ers was a good win. Indiana, again, at home, you only lost by 7 free throws at the end. You got blown out by Detroit. That was
That
real
was
ugly.
sad.
That
Sad.
that really was a heartbreaker to be totally honest to watch that kind of effort because you played another close match against the or against Washington. That was only a 3-point loss. And then again in New Orleans or at home against New Orleans, you lost by 2 in overtime. So I mean, they're right there, and I can't put my finger on the one thing that says this is the sole reason. And if we solved X here, that it would totally be better. I can't say that. I do wish we had that, not lockdown center, but a better guy in the middle, Zeller and Henson. They're overmatched, and Henson, while he can get some putbacks, he's most likely in offensive wasteland. Zeller's not putting up 15 for you a night either. So uh, I wish it was a little bit different, but there's still a little bit of time here with some of the softer part of the schedule to really finish out strong. But Kevin, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this too. Knowing where we are and seeing the things that we've seen over the course of the season, knowing there aren't a ton of games left, do you even have confidence that the Bucks, looking at the standings, we got Toronto, Boston, Cleveland, Washington, Indiana, Philly, Miami. Do you have any confidence that we can make it out of the first round against any of these guys?
Well, they're not. I don't think they're going to get past Indiana as far as the playoff seeding, if even if they get on a run, because Indiana's got a tiebreaker with them now.
Right,
So, and Jason Terry on that show that I listened to, he said Detroit ain't catching them. So
right,
he's basically guaranteeing they're making the playoffs here.
right.
Um, so I mean, if you consider them in the bottom part of that 6, 7, 8 seed, they're either going to play Cleveland, Boston, Toronto. No, I can't see them getting out of the first round.
Yeah, Toronto has proven to be a thorn in the Buck side. Boston, they got a lot of pieces in Boston. They're an exciting team to watch. They're 25 games over 500, and then Cleveland, nothing. You're not. I can't see him. Braun can take over. Braun cancels out Giannis, and then some maybe, um, if not just bare equal. And yeah, if you're equalizing out Giannis, you're not. I can't see it. I want to. I want to really bad. And I think hope is just kind of fading quick with me seeing these losses pile up. 3-7 on the last 10, and we're 3 games away from being a 500 team. It's ridiculous. I think there's enough talent on this roster. I'm not sure what specifically it is other than the center spot. There's times when the Bucks, and sorry, I know you were going to kind of get in there on that, but the one thing that frustrates me is there's times that you watch the Bucks swing the ball around the 3-point line, catch the cutters, and have really nice ball movement. The other times, like you were alluding to, that Jason Terry said, there is a lot of one-on-one basketball and not sharing the basketball, and that's something that, to kids' credit, that was one of the things that he said was wrong with this team is we weren't learning to pass the basketball. And beyond the kid years, we're seeing that is still true, and that, I think that is one thing that does hurt is Giannis. Giannis is okay taking on a double team. He can finish against most double teams like that, but I don't know. It's frustrating. We need to figure it out quick. Time's running out.
No, I completely agree. And then it makes you wonder what happens next year. If it's an early
Right.
playoff exit, obviously Prunty won't be around. They're going to have another brand new coach again, and whatever system that gets employed then. And then you have to wonder, I mean, what players stay around at that point? Who knows what happens next year? Are we rebuilding again? Are we owning the future once again?
Right. Are we able to afford Jabari Parker? How happy is Giannis going to be being on his third coach? What's the fan base going to look like now? We've sat behind the own the future, build the future. The future's here now. It's Giannis center stage. We've sat through all the hype and the buildup. Now is supposed to be the time that we're close to peaking and really making noise, and it's fallen completely flat as of right now. So and yeah, I mean, the things that you're going to have to look at is okay, is it really the roster? Is it fundamentals? Is it philosophy? Is it still the coaches that were here? We need all new, fresh air, get a new coach, get a new staff in here. I don't know. And then is the organization going to have to feel enormous pressure to maybe overreach and overpay for a guy or um, do something that they typically wouldn't do that might risk further moves? That I don't know. So they're going to need to make a splash going into this new arena. They want to open this new arena with a bang, and
Right.
if they're not doing that by a deep playoff run this year, they're going to have to do some PR work and say, hey, yeah, we got a cool stadium, but it's more of what's on the court. And if they're not going to fix those things, man, it's tough for me to sit here and hype them up continuously to everyone. It's getting tough.
Right. And then you wonder if they do have to hire another coach, how they're gonna bungle that because they bungle every freaking hire that they do. So it, I
Yeah,
don't get it.
that could be another sad situation. Taking a guy out to CC's Pizza Buffet and saying, "Hey, like we're looking. Are you interested?" Like
We
it's
already
going to be
told the whole
bad.
team, but
Yeah, the press release just went out. Check your phone. You're blowing up. Like we have your word. You're in. Like it's not going to be good. Somehow we'll snafu something. They're going to talk about bringing in a firm and letting them do it and yada yada. Who knows? Who knows? Or Horst. You know what? I'm going to try to interject some positivity here.
yeah, we need some positivity.
Maybe John Horst will just hit it out of the park and we'll get a defensively minded coach in here that knows how to teach sharing the basketball, and maybe that'll be it. Who knows? I, it's got to get better. It's got to get better if you want Giannis to stay here. That's just the bottom line. If you're not producing, Giannis and no superstar is going to want to stay here. I don't. It doesn't matter where it is. Milwaukee doesn't help the fact because it's cold weather and it's not, Miami or Los Angeles or New York. I get it, but yeah, Giannis, he's got to have a line somewhere that says my loyalty is only reaching me so far, and I think it's a far away. I think his he's real loyal, but where's the line for him? There's got to be one somewhere.
Right, right. So we've kind of been downbeat so far. Maybe we should switch subjects. Let me let me feature Twitter for a second because last week I talked about when Bart actually or last podcast I talked about when Bart retweeted one of our articles. So somebody liked our article, one of our posts tonight. It was from about a month ago that they just liked it tonight. It's Linda Gate, and in her profile it says you can spunk in my ass. So then, Chris, I ask you, which way did you swipe on Linda Gate?
I got to be honest. I swipe to the right. I mean, I'm a single guy. I got to do what I got to do.
Well, I appreciate you looking out for the site. You got Linda liking our stuff from a month ago. That's really what I was hopeful for.
And that's the
Um,
first time we hear Chris tonight.
well, I don't know. His Spurs aren't tearing it up out there, are they?
No, we also have our best player who hasn't played all year, but that's beside the fact.
Yeah, that is beside the fact. Oh, and they're playing Golden State tonight. Good luck with that.
Yeah, it should be good.
Well, let's move on to a little Brewer talk. The Brewers have been a little silent since they went on their rampage earlier this year. And it's calm before the storm, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to sign anybody coming up. Maybe we got what we have, and we're just going to look forward to the season. I'm still excited, even if they don't sign anybody. I know Davies has an oblique injury right now, but he's not concerned about it. Doesn't seem to be a big deal. But again, if somebody goes down on that pitching staff now, I mean, what are they going to do? Because I mean, really, we're counting on this staff, and there isn't a whole lot to it at this point unless they go out and sign somebody. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
I think I'm not crazy about the staff that we have. I think it's decent to solid. I don't think it's a great staff by any means. I think obviously it'd be a whole lot better if Jimmy Nelson was around and actually pitching for us. That would be great. But I mean, we're going to have some guys at that back end of that bullpen that we don't really know what we're going to get and who's going to be filling that out. Is Gallardo going to come back and actually pitch for us? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe he's going to be coming out of the bullpen. This dude that we picked up that I can't pronounce his name, Shakeen or whatever his name is.
Chassin.
Chassin. It sounds like they like what they're seeing in spring training, which is good. So I think you could probably pencil him in. They've been talking a lot about Miley. They really like him as well. Junior Guerra's even pitching pretty well. So I think there's a bunch of guys who are kind of in that mix. Even those kids, Wilkerson and Woodruff, I think are pretty good too. So we've got guys who showed a little bit of stuff over the last couple of years. Maybe they can go in there and they can play well, but I think it's safe to say that Davies is one of our bigger guys, and so if
Yeah.
he goes down, that's going to be quite a blow. So, I mean, as far as are we going to bring anybody in? I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't. I know we've got the log jam in the outfield, but the only person out there that really they could be looking to move are going to be those young guys. And it sounds like Santana's value is nowhere near on the open market what Stearns thinks it is or should be or what he's expecting to get. So
They
I
said it
think
might
if he was
be.
going to be moved,
Yeah, I guess from what I was hearing, it might be easier to move Broxton than Santana, from what I was seeing.
that would surprise me. I don't know why anybody would want Broxton. I
I
mean,
I don't
def-
get it either. But
I
I
mean,
guess somebody
defensively
was
he's all
saying.
right. He's good center fielder. He can play the field well, but I mean the guy's going to strike out 150 times. So I don't
Right.
know. Maybe there's some teams out there that might be interested in him, but I would think Santana would be a much bigger draw.
So it really sounds like kind of like what we talked about with Bart a couple weeks ago. The Brewers are counting on people stepping up, and if they don't step up, we're not going to do anything as far as competing with the Cubs. We're basically going to be competing for a wild card like we were last year. Um, it's a good thing to hope. It worked last year. I just can't see us counting on it again this year.
Yeah, I don't know that this team is going to be able to go swing for swing with the Cubs, but I also am not sure that Stearns is all in this year.
Hmm.
I know that it kind of seems that way with the Lorenzo Kane deal and with the Yelich deal, but I don't know because I think there are pitchers out there, right? I mean, Arrieta's out there and Lance Lynn, and there's pitchers out there. If he felt this is our year, we're going to do whatever it takes. There's people out there, and we know that Atnacio would sign those checks. He has in the past. If this is going to get us to where we want to get to, go out there and get it. So I don't know that Stearns is 100% all in at this point. I think if one of these guys comes to terms with something that he's willing to pay, I'm sure he probably would consider that. But I don't know that he's pushing all his chips in the middle this year. I think that this is kind of a let's get some pieces in play. Let's see what happens. Let's push things a little bit, but let's also sit on some of these guys. I mean, we saw Chase Anderson looked great last year, and I think chances are that we can expect that this year. Jimmy Nelson looked great. He got the injury, so we have to see what happens there. Zach Davies is kind of hit or miss. I mean, even Santana had a really, really good year, but really it was the first year that he did anything substantial. So I think there's still some guys that we're kind of wait and see. Even Arcia, who had an outstanding year, but that was really the first really good year that he had. So I don't know that with the moves that the Cubs have made, I think putting us on even playing field with them, even as optimistic as I am about this team, I think is a little bit crazy. But I think that this is, I don't think we can consider this still the rebuild. I think we're here, but I think this is almost like a stepping stool to the big step that we're willing to take maybe next year. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, and I guess Stearns has even positioned it like that with I mean those signings with uh, Kane and with Yelich, those aren't short term. They have those guys for a few years. So
Right.
it seems like, yeah, I mean, we if it isn't this year, they have those guys for years down the road. Uh, just here's something I'm reading right now on Twitter. These are Bovada odds on where Jake Arrieta will sign. The
Yeah.
Brewers have 7-4 odds.
Holy cow.
Yeah, leading the
Wow.
way here. Nationals are 5-2, Padres 11-4, Phillies 9-2, and 8 Twins 8-1.
Are you guys good if they make a serious push at getting him, Arietta?
If
It
they're
depends on what the terms are. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Kevin.
No, I was gonna say if they're gonna make a push this year, that's the signing you make. But again, kind of like what Chris was just alluding to, it depends what the deal is.
Right. No, I get it. I get it.
I mean, Arietta wants what 5, 6 years right now, and he's like
Yeah.
already
Right.
40 years old or some crap. I mean, he's not gonna get those many years, or he shouldn't get those all those years. I mean, if ideally 2 years with a team option for a third, I would be okay with that. I think it would probably be closer to a three with maybe a player option for the fourth, which is what he's going to want or something like that. But I mean, if he can get down to the 2, 3 year area, then I think maybe you give it a shot. Again, maybe this year, um, he's not. We're going to push for that wild card, absolutely. But then I think maybe the next couple of years, maybe he turns out to be something. I don't know. I'm still concerned that the Arietta that we saw last year wasn't the ace that was one of the best
Right.
pitchers in the league that we saw a couple of years before that. So I think that's something we have to keep in mind. It's not like guys at his age all of a sudden start getting better. There's a better chance that he's regressing than maybe he just had a bad year and he'll come back to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. He wasn't no Cy Young winner last year for sure. But I mean that's a nice ceiling you have if he does can get back close to that level. But then again, like you say, he's getting up there in age. It's hard to say whether he can get a deal that takes him as long as he wants it. He's going to have to come down a little bit. That's one reason he's still out there, of course.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is with him. I mean, there's other pitchers too. I think there was a Cobb was on there too, but I didn't see what his odds were.
Cobb.
Yeah, not Randall Cobb, Alex Cobb.
No, no, no. I've heard Alex Cobb's name be linked to the Brewers quite a bit here. So I don't know. It would be interesting. I would love to see them make some sort of splash, but just a sucker for trades and free agency, as you can see from my NBA love. So I'm just all in when it comes to that stuff. I love the drama. I love how it changes teams and planning. It's just I don't know, it's good stuff for me.
Yeah, it is what it is. Stern seems very reserved as far as what he hides behind like he can hide his deals. He seems very cunning. He make the Cubs sign for teams for or I can't talk tonight. I'm just gonna shoot myself right now and drink. But yeah, he made the Cubs sign Quintana for more than probably what they wanted to pay.
That's true. He
Um,
did push. Yeah.
he does stuff like that. So I mean, I definitely have faith in him. He's not steered us wrong yet. Just to go through a couple more of these odds, Alex Cobb, he's favored to go to the Twins 5-4, but Brewers are 4-1 on him.
Okay.
Lance Lynn, Brewers start to go down a little bit. That's 17-2, and Moustakas, Brewers are 5-1. This is all
Really
from Bovada.
Okay.
interesting. Yeah, I think the Brewers are the favorite pick for any starting pitcher that's out there because I think anybody that looks at a rotation can kind of see that. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Are we still excited for the year as far as possibly a playoff push, at least a playoff push?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. I think that I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that we can push the Cubs. I think when you just look at the rotation they've got, that lineup they've got, that team is just stacked, and I don't know that we're at that level just yet. Um, I'm not writing it off by any means, but I think that the more realistic expectation is that we're fighting for that wild card, and I think that this team has the ability to do that. It's in a lot of ways it's very similar to the team we had last year. I think the bullpen I think there's still some question marks there, but I think it's maybe a little bit better than what we were last year, which I thought was pretty abysmal. Um, Obviously, we jacked up some of our starters in the outfield, so I think we're a step up on where we were last year, and we were a pretty damn good team last year. So yeah, so I'm excited for what we have this year. I will be there on opening day, probably freezing my ass off, smoking
Nice.
Oof.
cigars and drinking all sorts of liquor. So I'm ready to go.
Isn't that going to be you on Saturday as well?
That's going to be me on Saturday as well. Yes.
Happy early birthday, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Happy early birthday, man.
Thank you.
Uh, oh, I forgot one thing Bucks related I did want to talk about. Brandon, did you go to the Rockets game yesterday?
I did not.
So you missed the career fair?
Oh yeah, you know what? My wallet it's a little thin right now, and I apparently could not afford to go to the career fair.
So what we're alluding to is the Bucks had a career fair yesterday, but in order to attend the career fair, which is to actually see if you could get, a step in at the Bucks, their business and get a job there, you had to buy a ticket to the game for tickets starting at $24. We slightly disagreed with that kind of strategy.
We
I
sure
don't
did.
know. That seems to be one more thing about Bucks and their management style that just seems off.
It seems like it I don't know, like you're being nickel and dimed.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems just super cheap to do. I really hated it. And normally I'm all about anything that I'm loyal to, I usually defend. I will defend the Packers and Bucks and everyone to like death. Just because they're my home team. I'm blind like that. But I looked at this and I was like, are you kidding me? I took personal offense to it. I'm not in the job market, and no, mom, I'm doing fine financially. Don't send help. But like seriously, it just seems like a very terrible way to handle. It's not even just a career fair. It's like, hey, Bucks fans, you're a fan, like come check us out. Maybe you
right.
want to work here. Slip a 20 in the doorman's pocket on the way in. Like what? Just a terrible, terrible thing. Shame on you, Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. I think that could have been better to kind of be mild about it, but yeah, that I don't know. Somebody upstairs needs to get slapped or something for setting up something like that.
Like
But
oh, go ahead, Chris.
I think that it's an important thing to talk about too, because we've mentioned, we had conversations about, the fan aspect to a lot of our podcasts and the website and that sort of thing. And I haven't been to a lot of Bucks games. I've been to a couple. Admittedly, maybe there were Spurs games that just happened to be in Milwaukee, but that's beside the fact. But the point is, I had really bad experiences there. And dealing with the people that work there, people in the ticket office, just really piss poor experiences. I go to Miller Park and I have a blast, and I feel welcome, and I feel like people want me there. I have season tickets there. I love the way that they treat me, and that's important. Not to mention the fact that I pay 15, $20 for a ticket at Miller Park, and I paid $100 and some dollars for my ticket at the Bradley Center to go see the Bucks game. So that's something that this team needs to realize, is you have to take care of your fans. And this is just another example of just screwing up something that is super easy to do and something that could really help people. Because the more that you have those piss poor experiences, the more that people like me are going to tell other people about it, and the more that people aren't going to want to come back, especially if they're forking out $100 to do that. And now you're trying to bring people into this brand new arena. Ticket prices are almost assuredly going to go up, and you're putting a team on the court that maybe isn't going to perform. You should be doing everything possible to cater goodwill to the fans that are coming out to watch your team. So I think this is just another example in the limited experience that I have with this team, and the way that they treat their fans, that just puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Now, two things that you touched on. I know they actually hired an NBA marketing or an NBA entertainment specialist to come in and just be a fan of the game and take notes, because each team obviously looks at how they entertain their fans, whether it's timeouts, pregame, postgame, what your amenities are, what the accommodations are like. It measures all these different things, half times, t-shirt throws, all this stuff. And Bucks actually ranked pretty low compared to where other NBA teams are. And I know that's something that they are looking into. Now, Chris, when's the last time you went to a Bucks game?
It was a few years ago. I'd say 3-4 years ago.
Okay, I do know from going more frequently, I know that the new Bucks ownership has really tried to put a stamp on the experience. They've really tried to touch on like doormen and people saying thank you for coming to like every person. You see people at the end of the escalators just thank you for coming, thanks for spending time with the Bucks and us tonight. So they've really tried to do things that way, and they've really tried to retrofit the Bradley Center with more amenities and more offerings. So I know they're trying, but I hear what you're saying there. It's a totally different thing going from a Brewers game or going versus going to a Bucks game. So I get where you're coming from too. So I really hope that is something that with the new arena, it's even a couple steps even higher than what it is, because if you're wanting a championship level team, you would hope to be treated like a championship level fan when you go and see that team. So yeah, but that whole job fair thing was just a travesty. It's like they sat in a boardroom and said, all right, guys, ticket sales are down. Our product on the court sucks. We need to make up the revenue somewhere. Johnson, what do you got? Oh, thank you for calling on me, Mr. Reed. I have a suggestion. We'll go ahead and spit it out. Yes. What about doing a job fair, and then we make them buy tickets to that game, and then we get revenue that way? And then they're like, great, make a poster, call the radio stations, get the word out. Like, no one anywhere thought, oh, hey, maybe we shouldn't make them do anything. Maybe we should give them something if they come down. Like, I don't know. It's just, it really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. So if we're down on the
Yeah.
Bucks a little bit this episode, we've got a couple of reasons why.
Do
So-
better, Milwaukee.
So we talked about Brewers, we talked about Bucks. Packers, there's not much going on, right? They're every time there's like a free agent, we talk about the free agent coming into Green Bay and possibly coming to Green Bay, but there's nothing happening right now. It's all about, getting ready for the draft, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I think.
Yeah, mostly the draft. Now, they did have Muhammad Wilkerson in from the Jets, defensive end out of Temple. He's played a few years here, his 8th season, so he's a veteran. looking at this guy a little bit closer, I would really like his talent and his speed on the Packers line. The Packers line with you have Mike Daniels in there. You add a guy like Muhammad Wilkerson that can rush a little bit, get back to the quarterback. He's had a few seasons of 10 sacks or above. 2013, he had
Mhm.
10 and a half. 2015, 12 sacks. A little bit inconsistent on that, but he's right up there when it comes to total tackles. He's always in the mix, it seems. And I would love to see the Packers really do some things on defense to really give Aaron Rodgers that best chance to get us to a Super Bowl. And Gutekunst said that they're really going to try to be active and make some splashes. So I don't know that necessarily it's Wilkerson. I like the name. Looking into him a little bit more, I liked my initial reaction from him. He did leave Green Bay today without a deal in place, but both sides did say they're mutual strong interest there. He just wants to hear some more pitches. So, but I do like hearing Gutekunst say that we're going to be active. I think that Packers fans in general, and we've talked about it before, on how Ted Thompson just was real lukewarm about free agency, and it seems like a new aggressiveness has come to town. And I think that I mean, we'll see. I want him to walk the walk. I hope it's just not talk, but we'll see once we start making some signings what happens.
I almost think he signed someone just to avoid getting compared to Ted.
Yeah, like a reach maybe. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It we'll see. I mean, they did seem to show some interest in him. I know there was some talk on some of his social medias today about Richard Sherman because it doesn't look like he's going to be
right.
with the Seahawks. Um, Aqib
They're
Talib
blowing
just
that
went
thing
to the
up.
Rams. I mean, the market's out there for cornerbacks.
Yeah, some pieces are moving. Seattle's really blowing it up. Who did they send out the other day? Was it Earl Thomas or
Bennett.
Michael Bennett?
Michael Bennett.
Yeah, Bennett's out. They're starting to field calls for other guys. You had Sherman on its way out. So I don't know. Is that a collective sigh of relief for Packers fans? Are we gonna maybe start to see the decline of the Seahawks now?
We got to deal with the Vikings now, though.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just hope that we don't go out there and start making moves just for the sake of making moves. You know what I mean?
true.
That's the biggest thing. If there's players that make sense to bring in, bring them in. Otherwise, just hold off. I don't think that. I still don't think that talent wise that we're horrible. I think that just making some changes in the coaching staff is going to help. I love this new coordinator we got. I'm so excited about this guy. Um,
Patton.
yeah, I think just bringing him in alone, I think pushes us up 10 spots defensively easily.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't want us to go crazy. If there's something that makes sense, let's do that. But let's not add just for the sake of adding.
Right. I totally agree. I One thing I wonder about, and this has been talked about, but do you guys think Rodgers gives the Packers any type of discount for his contract that's coming up?
Uh, yes. In short, yeah. And I guess I'll go further on it, but yeah. To be honest, Rogers is a smart guy. He's a smart guy, and he's also, I feel, a very loyal guy. Why I say that he's smart is I think he realizes that the more money he ties up, the more hindrance it's going to have on the organization. Now, does he deserve every cent that the Packers could give him? Absolutely. The guy is uh, just an absolute rock star. He totally is. But I think the smart side of him says, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go a little light on you, but that money better be used on shoring up the things that we all know need to get shored up. I think he kind of not holds them hostage there, but really tells them, hey, I want something here too, and it's not cash. It's not straight cash, homie. I need players out here. I need guys that can stop the ball, get me back on the field, and let me work my magic. And I think he would be wise to do that. He's going to get his in the end. He's not short on cash flow. Um, but I really hope if that's the case, the Packers, take that with, you know, take those words as heavy words and say, all right, we have a window with him. Because the window, we went through this with Favre. How long is Favre good?
Right.
How many more years of multiple interceptions a game can we handle before we got to move on? I mean, there's a window. And I'm not saying it's closing. Rodgers is an absolute beast, but there is a window, and it's going to close if those players aren't here to support him. And I'm Mr. Positive usually. I know if you listen to the first half of this podcast, you wouldn't get that vibe. But overall, I'm a pretty positive guy, and I believe Gutekunst when he says that he's going to be aggressive. So I think he's going to supplement it, but I hope he does give that discount.
What do you
Yeah,
think,
no,
Chris?
I can see that one going either way. I think Rogers wants to win. I think that's the number one thing that he cares about is winning. I don't think he really cares that much about MVPs and all of that. It's I'm
Right.
going to win. Um, Rogers is a hell of a smart guy, so I think there's a part of that which would lead him towards maximize whatever money that he can get, which would make sense. I think another side of him is very easily going to understand that if he can structure things in a certain way where he's still getting the bulk of what he deserves and what he should get, but he leaves that flexibility for that team to have a little bit more flexibility as far as who they can add or who they can keep. I think that he's going to see that as being more beneficial to helping him win, which is really what it all comes down to. I
Right.
don't think that he's going to hold the team hostage by any means. I don't think he's going to look to go somewhere else. Even though I don't know that him and McCarthy necessarily see eye to eye a lot of times, I don't know that he would look at that situation and say, you know what, it would be better somewhere else. So I don't suspect that that's going to be an issue at all. It's all just whether he's going to be okay with maybe not getting every single penny that he possibly could and offering that flexibility to the team. I think I would lean that way, not heavily, 65, 70%, but I think I would lean that way that he would try to help out as much as he could without feeling like he's shortchanging himself.
I think the good thing here is that the Milwaukee Bucks don't manage the Green Bay Packers. I think
Ain't that the truth?
that's the good thing. But I mean, that's all I got to say.
You can shovel our stadium, but you got to pay for a ticket after you shovel it.
Yeah, come on.
Pay you to shovel, man. Come
Right.
on.
Like, take some notes from what everyone else is doing. Oh my God.
To wrap up Rodgers, I'm kind of in the same boat. I definitely think I think it's going to still be a very I think he'll still be the highest paid quarterback. I think there's player association pressure on him to be that. Otherwise, the next guy who signs, well, Rodgers got only this. Why would we sign you for less more than that?
Right.
But I think that they're going to structure it in a way that's friendly to the team also, especially where they can manage it, they will manage it. So I think there's smart people on both sides that will probably figure this out, and I think he's going to break the bank, but I still think it's going to be favorable to the team. I would ask Linda Gate what she thinks, but we already know what she thinks. She likes spunk.
She's texting me, man. She won't leave me alone.
You should have
All in
swiped the other
links,
way, my
though.
friend.
All in hyperlinks.
We got anything else?
I'm
Anything
good.
anything we're dying to get at here?
No, I gotta get back to Linda, man. She's killing me.
Well, just to let you know, she's also a lecherous bitch, according to her only post.
I would agree.
Honesty is key, guys. Honesty.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, you guys have yourselves a good night. I will tell you also, thank you for listening to our podcast tonight. You can definitely see or listen to all of our podcasts on our website, wisportsfans.com. They are all listed on the side on the Spreaker plugin that we have there. You can also follow us on Twitter at wisportsfans and also like us on Facebook at Wisconsin Sports Fans. Thank you for listening to us tonight. You guys have yourselves a good night. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Brandon, for joining me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.